starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? I'm your host, Jason Davis, and we want to welcome you to another episode of Champions Belt Club Podcast. I'm here with my good friend and co-host, Mr. Tony Thorpe, my brother from another mother. How are you doing this evening, sir?
I am great, buddy. How was your weekend?
It was pretty stellar, man. Beautiful weather up here in Nova Scotia, Canada. Beautiful Nova Scotia. We finally had some nice weather. We've had a month of forest fires and floods, and we're just waiting for the locusts next, but we had a pretty nice sunny wet weekend. So
I want to know who pissed off yet the weather's so bad.
Man, I don't know. It's been brutal. I've been hearing from a few other people down the States and abroad that it's been pretty rough in other places too. So
I woke up to
I guess this is the new climate change world we're living in, supposedly. So
yeah.
I don't know.
I'm not going down that street.
Me neither.
But
gonna say hi to a few of our watchers this evening. Good evening, Joey Gray. Welcome, my friend. Thanks for hanging out with us this evening. Lovely to see you. We have a guest this evening. We're welcoming for the first time to the show, Mr. Gianni Martello is coming on the show this evening. We're really excited to have him here. He's a fellow collector, fellow hobbyist, wrestling enthusiast, and a belt collector himself, and a memorabilia collector. And pretty excited to have him on the show and welcome him to the group and talk wrestling and belts. What do you think?
I'm excited. I'm gonna actually go off camera for a sec. I got something for Gianni as a surprise just for him.
Ooh, okay, bringing him on. Welcome to the show, Mr. Gianni Martello. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm great. Thank you for having me. How's everybody doing tonight?
It's our pleasure to have you, my friend. We're glad to have you here. Tony popped off for a second. He had a little present for you this evening, apparently.
Oh, yes, sir. Oh,
rocking the Pittsburgh colors.
Tony, you know my address. Send that right over, brother.
Not a chance, Gianni.
That's actually my boss.
Mario?
I work at the arena. He's technically my boss.
There you go. New Jersey this episode.
Thank you.
That's
one of my favorite jerseys, honestly, man. So
I got this off eBay for $50.
Yeah.
It's not it was before they started all the Chinese knockoffs started flooding eBay. So
there you go.
Yeah.
Dan's joining us this evening. Good to see you, Dan. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight, buddy. Glad to see you.
Hi, Dan.
Nice to have you here.
Yeah.
So it's we like to sort of spend every show kind of doing a little bit of what is and what was in wrestling before we get into some of our other topics. So we always like to start with dirt sheets and draws. So why don't we get into that next? All right. So one of the big news drops this week is that Gunther passed Randy Macho Man Savage in terms of consecutive Intercontinental title days as Intercontinental Champion. Tripped all over that. He passed him by 1 day when this was published 2 days ago. He is now only 10 days away from passing Pedro Morales and only 39 days away from passing the Honky Tonk Man's long-standing record as the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion of all time. What do you think? Does he have a chance? Do you think they're going to let him have it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
You see him becoming the new longest reigning IC champion?
I think there's Triple H and the people that are in charge are, I think, from what I observe, they're just trying to push the new stuff because a lot of us clamor for the old. So they're showing us that, hey, these guys are like, this guy's the greatest Intercontinental Champion ever. Look, he's had the longest reign. This is the greatest world champion. He's had the longest reign. They're doing stuff like that, I think. Mm-hmm. What do you think, Gianni?
I'm waiting for this guy to bust out.
Who's that?
He's waiting for. Can't see him from here. Let's see.
Is that Maven?
No, that's Giovanni.
Oh, he's waiting for the Giovanni Medici. What's his last name?
Vinci.
Vicini.
Yes, Vicini. Yes.
Vicini.
Yes.
Yeah. Right on. So he's thinking you think he's gonna flip on Gunther and
no, honestly, that faction is a good faction. I mean, they're still green per se, still green, mm-hmm. and they work good. You know what I mean? I mean, that's just
Dan McKim says he's not a fan. Not a fan of Gunther, I presume. Max, hey buddy, welcome Max. Glad to have you here, my friend. Thanks for joining us. I know this is early in the morning for you, so thanks for joining us over there in Sealcott. Gunther is almost there, he says. I agree with Tony. WWE is doing this for a reason. Yeah, absolutely. I can't think of anybody in the last 4 or 5 years that has brought as much respect and attention back to that particular title than he has. He's made it a title that's worth chasing. He's added prestige to it by being a dominant champion and being a working champion and wrestling a lot of matches and a lot of pay-per-views. And he's definitely been a fighting champion, and that tends to translate into respect and credibility.
And I think he's good at it. Like,
he's really good at it. And I think a lot of people sleep on him because he, in his time in Europe, before he even came over to the independents in the US and started working for NXT and now the main roster, he was already a locker room leader in Europe. He was running the training program in Germany for the federation that he worked for over there, the promotion he worked for. So he has some experience already sort of leading matches. Max City made a big name in UK. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he was huge in the UK independent scene as well, and throughout Europe as well. So he's definitely somebody they can throw the ball to, and he's going to run with it. He's experienced. He knows what he's doing. So, and he works versatile. Like, he can work. He's not just going to wrestle a big man's match. He can wrestle those. He can wrestle the lightweights, and he can wrestle the big men as well. He's pretty versatile. So I'm a fan so far. So far, I'm a fan. Yeah.
I wasn't a fan at first, but as it's gone on, I've grown to like him.
Yeah.
Really like him. Like, I really think he's one of the best things going right now.
I've gone on a few podcasts and said publicly that I think whenever Roman's bloodline thing runs its course and that's dried up, I feel like Gunther's the person they throw to next. Honestly, I really honestly do. I think they're building him for that. They're building him for the world title scene, and I think that's where he's logically headed next. So,
I think you can see. I don't know. I think LA Knight's, man. Like, you can't sleep. Like, he's so hot right now.
Yeah, LA Knight's definitely. Yeah, he's definitely got. He's over with the fans for sure, and he's definitely got the. Yeah. he's definitely got the momentum of the fans behind him right now, but I just don't think he has the ring credibility or the work rate that Gunther does. And
I wouldn't question that. Yeah,
and age is a factor in that as well, because I mean Gunther's got quite a few more years in the tank still yet, and LA Knight's creeping up there, so
that's why I think a title run makes sense now.
Mm-hmm.
And Gunther and him could have that feud, and there's Gunther taking it, from LA Knight possibly.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
but LA Knight's got the number 1, 4, and 5 shirts. So he's got 3 of the top 5 shirts sold on WWE.
And that matters, especially in the world of WWE and AEW. That stuff matters. So it's all part of the metrics. So
they see sorry, go on. Move on.
No, you go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just saying, you're right. It's business. They got business. They're not dumb. They know. Anyways.
Yeah, right on.
The next Gunther, that's cool.
Yeah, go for it.
So, he basically brought prestige back into the title because for the longest time that the IC title was the workhorse title, and now it is again. I mean, like you said, Jason, that he's very versatile and work both ways. So, and I'm not a fan of LA Knight just because I'm just not. I don't like his gimmick. I find it annoying. But as far as Gunther goes, I see him surpassing Honky Tonk Man and also becoming world champion one day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think they let him have that. I think they let him have that record. I think I can see it in the next couple of. I can see him passing Pedro definitely, and I can definitely see him passing Honky Tonk Man and setting a new record. And I think he takes that momentum into some kind of a world title challenge somewhere down the road. So for sure, I think he's definitely moving into that upper echelon of the promotion for sure. The other big news that hit this week was, of course, CM Punk coming out on Collision over the weekend, pulling out his version of the AEW World Heavyweight Championship and stating that nobody had beaten him for that, and that he is actually the real world's champion. And then he placed the title on the mat, proceeded to spray paint a black X right in the middle of it. And he explained that the black X has been on his wrist tape for his entire career. It represents straight edge, which is a punk movement. If folks don't know what that is, straight edge is a no alcohol, no drug movement that sort of came up through the punk scene. And he's been a member of that, or been an exponent of that, proponent of that for most of his career, I believe, or all of it. And he said he used his old WWE catchphrase. He said he made it clear the symbol means straight edge, and because he's straight edge, he's better than you. Where it was his statement. He ended up the interview with, and what do you think?
Terrible.
No.
Yeah.
I didn't like it when Hogan did it to the Crumb Run. I don't like it when Punk did it to this belt. No.
Yeah. The only thing I would say is just that I really wish we'd stop going to the NWO tank and get off of the spray painting people's backs and spray painting the belts. It was a moment in WCW, and it was a great moment. And it'd be nice. I was honestly, personally, a little disappointed that and maybe it's coming, that they didn't decide to design a new belt for the separate brand in the same way that WWE has their World Championship and their Universal Championship. It would be nice for Collision to have its own version of a world title that they were carrying, as opposed to the spray painted AEW world title that already exists. Obviously, this is leading to a big matchup between MJF and CM Punk somewhere down the line, assuming he doesn't lose the title to Ricky Starks in England when they do that big pay-per-view at the stadium with their 80,000 plus tickets pre-sold apparently. But it's interesting to see. Do you think they keep that and just come out with a better painted X over the next couple of weeks, or do we see a different championship coming down the road? Dan says even the NWO overdid the spray paint. Yeah, I mean, it became a thing, but it's been overused for the last 10, 15 years, really, honestly. It's done to death. Nick says, hey, Nick, welcome to the show, my friend. Thanks for hanging out. He said, hello, Gianni, no more spray paint stuff, please. I agree. I can't state that enough. I'm over it. So what do you guys think?
I think it's lame.
It's lame, and I honestly thought this was going to be a Collision title that was in the bag, not this crap that we see on our screen here. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I think after the big pay-per-view in England, we might see a Collision title.
It'd be nice. I mean, it's been the land of new titles. AEW, they've cranked out more belts in the last 2 years than probably all of the other promotions historically in the last 10. So it's certainly, they certainly love debuting new belts. So I'm a little bit shocked that they didn't go to the effort to do that. But here we are. Yeah, I mean, it's a strange thing. It's obvious that if it's going to be challenged, they're in a weird place with their titles. Some titles are recognized, other titles are not. Like the
FTW.
That title is that formerly Jungle Boy, whatever he's going by now, is carrying, is not recognized by AEW, but it is used on their pay-per-views and on their television programming. This belt apparently is being recognized as legitimately as a world title because it's Tony Khan already confirmed that he's going to put the title on the line against Stark next week on Collision. So presumably AEW is going to use it. I read an interesting article. Somebody said that AEW is using this matchup to try to pull eyes off SummerSlam, which is supposed to happen at the same time as Collision next weekend. So maybe there's a little bit of business in this as well. Just trying to use it as a hook to keep the audience tuned into Collision. Is that going to pull your eyes off SummerSlam, I wonder?
Me? I won't be watching SummerSlam until Tuesday. What's up, Ben?
Ben Walker. Hey, Ben. How you doing, my friend? Hey, telling you. That's right. I don't know. So general disappointment. Most of the comments and feedback I've been seeing on the belt groups and in the various wrestling groups has been disappointment with the angle and with the belt. I think a lot of people are hoping he was going to pull out a new title, and we're disappointed to see that it was just his particular version of the AEW World Championship. Everybody going to watch SummerSlam AEW Collision at the same time. Yeah, which is what we all really should do, is just sort of split our focus on a little bit of everything. I agree. Completely, Heel.
What are your thoughts on that?
Hey, Vince, how you doing, my friend? Welcome. And then on to, actually, I think we all we all agree that was a real flop. I got an interesting pit. I had to sort of look for this news this week. Because some of it's a little older and some of it's a little current. AEW recently hired Orange Cassidy as a producer and road agent backstage. So now he's doing double duty as both a backstage employee and overall producer agent, and also he's doing his character work and his wrestling work in the ring. Brian Danielson is doing the same thing, and a couple of other wrestlers, Punk is as well, and a couple others on various programs. But what was really interesting is that a writer, Brian R. Solomon, is doing a book with Bret Hart and did an interview with Bret recently. And Bret said to him in interview, when I recently interviewed Bret Hart for my book, he told me that he had offered to agent for them recently. And they only wanted him in as a manager like Tully, Arn, or Jake, and turned him down. So if I'm putting this together correctly, AEW had the opportunity to hire Bret Hart as a producer and road agent to work with their new talent backstage and coach them. And they opted to only offer him a deal to be an on-air personality and manage. And they instead decided to go with somebody like Orange Cassidy as their road agent / producer. What do you think?
Gianni, you go
You guys
first.
hear me okay? Can you guys hear me all right?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm getting messages. I'm getting sound like I have my head in a bucket. Okay. Hi, Andy. If you're still watching, I honestly think Orange Cassidy and Tony are friends. That was the way. That was the reason for that. But if I was the owner of AEW, I go Bret Hart all the way.
What do you think, Tony?
Yeah, it shocks me. Bret's got such a mind for the business. I would have actually been interested to see what Bret could do.
Max said Stupid Buckaroos and Kenny Omadon are behind this. Absolutely. Very. Joey said Orange Cassidy is talentless.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what concerns me is that you've got a guy who has worked in multiple TV, dumb decision, but Bret also has stated he's not a fan of the overall theatrical gymnastic wrestling. That's true. That's a fact as well. But I also think a lot of it is that Bret. It's not even just Bret's talent and his overall experience as a wrestler. He's also specifically worked in promotions that were TV based, like the WWE, WWF, and WCW, and Stampede back in the day. Yeah. And he's worked various positions. Like he came up as a in Stampede wrestling, he was selling programs and food, and then he was working as a referee, and then he was working as a wrestler, and he he's been through a lot of different parts of the business. Now, it's not my place to say that Orange Cassidy hasn't paid his dues. He certainly has, I'm sure, but to take that kind of perspective and not use it when you're trying to produce a TV-based program and a TV-based product, and you give somebody who hasn't done a lot of TV-based wrestling like Orange Cassidy, and that's a fact, he just hasn't. It makes no sense. That just makes no sense whatsoever, because wrestling in front of a live crowd is one thing. Wrestling in front of a live crowd on TV or on pay-per-view is a very different thing. Knowing where you have to be at what time, understanding where your angles are, understanding how to play to the audience at home through the camera, understanding those elements of it is a different skill than just understanding wrestling for a bigger sort of for an auditorium or for a smaller space. So I just think they're really missed the bus here with not tapping into Bret Hart's experience and knowledge. And I mean, I think most people would agree he's certainly, for most people, certainly in their top 10 or 15 at least, if not top 5 greatest wrestlers of all time. So to not be able to tap into that kind of that type of knowledge and that type of experience is just crazy.
Can we talk about another bad decision real quick, guys?
Yeah.
Kenny Omega being in charge of the new game. I mean,
I honestly haven't seen much about the new game. What have you seen much about it, Gianni?
From what I've seen, it's a pretty good game, but they got lucky. But Kenny Omega knows nothing about video games. He's a professional wrestler. He's not a video game creator. You know what I mean?
Well, actually, that's not entirely true. Actually, he you may not know this, but Kenny Omega actually, for a lot of years, actually lived over in Japan while he was wrestling for New Japan Pro Wrestling. He lived there long enough that he actually became fluent in Japanese and can actually speak it pretty fluently. And he actually is a huge gamer and video. Like he actually he does a lot of celebrity video game tournaments and actually goes and plays. He's actually a really decent Street Fighter player.
Playing it is one thing, and creating it is a different.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I imagine there's whatever company built the game probably was the more hands-on in terms of design, but he's probably there to sort of testing the quality of it and sort of offering a fan's perspective in terms of gameplay and stuff like that. I would say probably.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The thing I love most about the game is it's like No Mercy for 64. That mod.
Oh, right on.
That's my favorite part about the game.
There you go.
So,
There you go. moving on from what is to what was, we always like to do a little bit of conversation about today in wrestling history. Got a few momentous occasions today. Today was actually the debut of Hot Rod Roddy Piper in the WWF at that time. His first TV debut. He wasn't yet Hot Rod that we knew to love in '84, I think, is when he came back and started that whole Hulkamania sort of feud. This was earlier than that. This would have been 1979. He would have made his debut with the Federation at that time. And Tony Atlas actually debuted on TV the exact same day.
Oh, wow.
So it's creepy, though, because, and I'll explain why as we go along here, a little bit of a creepy kind of coincidence. Today was also in wrestling history in 1984, the date that Giant Baba defeated Stan Henson to win the PWF heavyweight title. The PWF was for a long time All Japan's main title, their main heavyweight championship, until they combined it with two other belts to create what is the Triple Crown Championship, which they carried for years, all three belts. And then in, I believe 2018, they combined them into a new version of the belt. They still carry the three belts, but they have a newer version that represents all three belts together. So that was a pretty momentous day in All Japan history. And then if you're a fan of Lance Storm or of Canadianized wrestling belts, today was the day that on July 31st, 2000, Lance Storm submitted Chavo Guerrero on an episode of Monday Night Nitro to win the WCW Cruiserweight Championship. Storm had already won the United States Championship and the Hardcore Championship. He would go on to rename the titles the Canadian Heavyweight Championship, the Saskatchewan Hardcore International Championship, and the 100 kilogram and under championship. So funny stuff, man. That was so hilarious when he came out on WCW with those stickers glued to the belts, and funny stuff for sure. Which is funny because he was probably his most over at this time in terms of mainstream wrestling, and it was his least favorite angle, he's gone on to say in a lot of interviews. So
what's the hardcore title? What was it called?
It's a long one. It's the Saskatchewan Hardcore International Championship. It's
actually the shit title.
There you go.
You can abbreviate it to shit.
There you go. Heel Carmichael says Lance Storm Canadian Heavyweight Championship is my favorite. Yeah.
I was actually thinking of selling those belts I own today.
Gentlemen, we have to be serious for a minute with this one. We have to be.
Yeah.
I mean, you're interested in selling that?
My Lance Storm belts, yeah, I was thinking of selling them. And I made a WCW Canadian television title. It's like I just thought it would have been funny if he actually had a fourth belt. But anyways, yeah.
We'll talk later. We'll talk later.
Oh, we have deals happening, people. Storm was the best in ECW. Yeah, I loved his run in ECW. I agree. Loved it. Loved his run in Jim Cornette's promotion as well. Yeah, when he was down there as well. Yeah, he was a hell of a wrestler for sure. Great technician. And then we had, of course, today is also the 1-year anniversary of Ric Flair's presumed final match of all time. And so not probably the way he'd like to have gone out, and he's already dropped numerous hints on his podcast that he still wants to do one more match. So not sure if this is actually going to turn out to be his last match or not, but as of today, it was his last match. What did you guys think? Did you ever get a chance to watch that match, Tony?
I've not, and I don't want to because I love Ric Flair.
Joey says Lance Storm's angle with Chris Candido was great. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no, I want to remember Flair for being,
the Nature Boy.
Yeah.
I
don't want to watch that.
Did you get to watch it, Gianni? Have you ever seen the match?
I actually have the DVD.
Oh, there you go.
I watched it numerous times, and it's actually
Max said it was not a Rick level match. No, definitely not.
It's actually signed by Super Dave.
Oh, right on. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
He had some health issues come up during the match. Apparently, he was at least the excuse he gave after was that he was drinking all day and he forgot to drink any water and he got dehydrated. So he was having fainting spells in the ring during the match. He gassed out pretty badly really early on. He was smart enough to surround himself with some really good wrestlers who were able to sort of carry the match and help him through it. Definitely not probably the way he wanted to go out, though.
Rick said that he was drinking all day.
Yeah, that's what went around in interviews afterwards. He was having some drinks through the day and forgot to drink water. So
no, he was drinking Diet Pepsi.
Oh, is that what it was?
Diet Pepsi. Yeah, and afterwards, Taker's like, "Come here, drink this." He gave him 2 Gatorades.
There you go.
Yeah.
The reason I mentioned earlier that it was kind of a creepy coincidence that Roddy Piper debuted in the WWF on TV on this date in 1979 is that today is actually the anniversary of Roddy Piper passing away. So Roddy Piper ended up passing away on the same date as the day he debuted on TV for the WWF back in 1979. So on July 31st, 2015, Roddy Piper passed away essentially from a blood clot. Is essentially what happened. My understanding is he had hip surgery, and a clot had managed, unfortunately, to travel up through his circulatory system and caused an aneurysm. So he passed away far, far, far too early. So sorry to see that happen. We also had the unfortunate news that this week on July 24th, exotic Adrian Street passed away. He lived well into his 80s, so very fit, very healthy man. So congratulations on that. And we also lost Pee Wee Herman, Paul Rubens, this week. Passed away yesterday, July 30th, 2023. So we did just want to take a moment to memorialize those gentlemen, and please, and also to offer our deepest condolences to their family and loved ones. And any memories of these three folks?
Oh man, like.
Too many.
I remember hearing about Adrian Street, but I never knew much about him. It's just Roddy Piper though is one of my all-time favorites. I mean, it was sad. I really, really liked Piper. I think his whole story is just amazing. Pee Wee Herman, I actually. In the 80s, I couldn't stand Pee Wee Herman. I thought he was an idiot. My brothers thought he was hilarious. Obviously, you don't want to see anyone pass away, so it is sad for his family and friends.
Of course.
And he is iconic. He is iconic to the 1980s. So
someone needs to do the tiptoe. I don't have any platform shoes. If I did, I'd get up on the desk right now and I'd lay it out in honor of Pee Wee Herman. Mm-hmm. What do you think, Gianni? Any fond memories of these gentlemen?
Well, first off, Pee Wee Herman every Saturday morning. I mean, with the Pee Wee Herman show growing up in the 80s, man.
Yeah, a lot of people grew up with him.
Like Tony, I'm with your brothers. I thought he was freaking hilarious, you know. And then Roddy Piper, just revolutionary with him in Portland and him with Flair. I mean, in and outside the ring with the drinking, and and there's an awesome story about how he was coming back with a Mickey Mouse doll for his daughter, and he's the first class seat. He bought Mickey Mouse the first seat because he didn't want to check it.
That's awesome. Yeah, he was known to be a great family man. He really loved his family. So, yeah, really interesting about Adrian Street that people may not know. Actually, you're breaking up on us a little bit there, Gianni, with your signal there.
He's cutting in and out.
Yeah, we're losing you a little bit, Gianni. Your internet's going sideways on you there. You might need to log out and come back in there, brother. Interesting thing while Gianni's dealing with his internet stuff, Adrian Street is actually, in contrast to his gimmick, was actually one of the toughest guys in the locker room. He trained in his early days with the Wiggum Snake Pit guys, and so he was a legitimate hooker. He knew how to submit and catch as catch can wrestle. So he was a legitimate tough guy. He was one of the more feared guys. He was only 5'6" apparently in height, but he was legitimately one of the tough guys in the locker room, and a lot of people were pretty people treated him with a lot of respect backstage because he was quite a tough guy.
Yeah, I heard that too, actually.
Yeah, so interesting. I saw on a podcast today somebody was talking about the fact that he actually had written 4 or 5 books himself about the English wrestling scene. That he came up through, and I actually ordered 2 of them today. And
from Amazon?
Yep. And I'm actually interested just to read those, just because I'm interested on that early English wrestling scene, and sort of because a lot of professional wrestling kind of grew out of that scene, grew out of the sort of the wrestling carny sort of scene initially. So yeah, I'll be interested to read. I'll let you know how they are. Paul Rubens was great in Blacklist too. Yeah, Paul Rubens was a really decent actor. I think he got stuck with that particular character of his, which he used to do in stand up. Got over. And made him a lot of money really quickly, and I think he almost sort of, unfortunately, kind of got sort of locked into it, as often happens in Hollywood. So, but he was actually really fine. Welcome back, Gianni. He's actually really fine actor.
Yeah.
So
great in Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yeah.
His death scene in that movie was hilarious.
All right, so it is time, actually, for us to move on to everybody's favorite segment of the week, which is the Belt of the Week. All right, and as always the tradition, we always like to extend our guests the opportunity to bring in a guest, a belt, and feature it for us. What did you bring for us this week, Gianni?
The infamous, and everyone shits on it, Jeff Hardy Immortal belt.
Let me pull up a little graphic here. So we are featuring this week. We are featuring Jeff Hardy's Immortal TNA World Heavyweight Championship. So tell us about it. Tell us about your belt. Let me just give you full screen here, Johnny, and show that bad boy off and tell us a little bit about it.
It's 4mm zinc, stock plates, and I'm a big fan of Jeff Hardy, as everybody knows. I mean, as you can see, it's just a beautiful belt. I forget who made it, but they did a good job.
Beautiful. Very nice.
Yeah.
Looks like they did a great job.
Yes.
They did. They did a great job. Max says, I really like this belt. I don't know why people say what they say. What do you think? What do you think, Tony? Do you think the criticism is deserving, or what do you think of the belt?
I don't want to be mean, but I don't like it. I never did. I'm not a big Jeff Hardy fan. I was never a Hardy Boys fan. I didn't like the way they looked in the ring. I mean, they could work. They're phenomenal as workers, but I just never liked their look. I don't know. I just never liked that belt. I like the traditional TNA title. The TNA,
This would have replaced the Wildcat, the Wildcat title.
The Wildcat one I like. It's the one that they call the Northwest one, I think, or
Midwest.
The Midwest one. I was not a fan of that one really either.
So there you go. Let me tell you why this belt is so mystique.
Hey Scott, thanks for hanging out with us tonight, buddy. Welcome.
Jeff Hardy is an artist, and he's loves drawing faces. Okay, you go to his home. There's so many of there's so many of these murals dedicated to that belt. That's how the belt I'll talk about in a minute. But the belt, the Enigma belt, as I like to call it, okay, Immortal, I call it the Enigma belt, okay, is just him being his art, his, what should I say, imagination, as he likes to call it, okay, his artistic ability came out of that belt, and I just love it. I think it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's a beautiful belt. Like I do like I could see why there's an appeal to it, but it's just not for me.
Like, okay, one of your favorite wrestlers is Bret Hart. You have a
I don't like tribute belts.
Yeah. Well.
Big gold, like he's a winged eagle. He's a classic U.S. champ. Big gold put on him.
There's been a long tradition of customized belts for wrestlers. Obviously, Stone Cold's rattlesnake belt is very popular, and the Rock's Brahma Bull belt is obviously quite popular. And then there's always sort of the variant straps that people used on various versions of the winged eagle and the big eagle and other belts, different colored straps to personalize them, like Warrior. It's sort of, there's definitely a tradition for that. So I understand. Scott says he likes the Wildcat or the Midwest. I tend to be more of a traditionalist when it comes to belts. I like them to look like trophies, and I like them to look like a sport-related item. But I can see the art in that belt, and I can understand that people that are diehard fans of Jeff Hardy would definitely sort of value that belt and sort of like it. And it's definitely got a unique design. There's no other belt like it. I haven't seen any other belt that's come along since that sort of has that cut or that look. So it's definitely an iconic thing.
Yeah, the colors on it are fantastic.
Yeah,
and I love the purple, the blue, the chrome. I think it looks fantastic. It's just like, So there's certain people like a certain type of music. I just don't. You get some people just don't like a certain type of music, and it's just they like music, just not that kind. It's just like me. I love belts. I just don't really like that one, and it was just like I said. I just never. I liked Edge and Christian, right? Like, were on my radar. The Dudleys weren't on my radar. It was Edge and Christian.
Yeah, I got you. But here, what I'm saying is, you guys are not, by all means, shitting on this belt, but a lot of people do. I'm just saying, if you don't like it, say you don't like it. Just don't shit on it. You know what I mean?
I think it's I think wrestling can get quite tribal. In terms of preferences and politics and what people like and what people don't like. I think sometimes people confuse opinion for fact. You've all seen my collection so many times. Yeah, we have seen. You got a great collection, Scott. I think a lot of times people confuse opinion for fact in wrestling and in belt collecting. I think it's great to have an opinion. I don't think it's wise or smart to convey it as fact. Just because it's your opinion. I think you're welcome to in your opinion. Everybody is. That's the great thing about wrestling, especially wrestling right now, because there's so many options and so many alternatives for people. There's so much product out there that people can tune into. I mean, you can literally turn on your computer and find something being broadcast somewhere every day of the week now, pretty much, and somewhere in the world. So if you're a wrestling fan, this is a great time to be a wrestling fan. If you're somebody that loves WWE stuff and that's all you want to watch, that's cool. If you love AEW and you think WWE sucks, that's cool. If you love international wrestling and you think New Japan is the shit and you don't think the American stuff is worth watching, totally get it, and that's cool too. I think it's just important that we all just respect and remember that this stuff is always going to come down to preference and opinion, and as long as we respect that and we treat each other with kindness and with respect, we can all occupy the space together and enjoy it. And that's it. Just
that's the message for life.
Since we're on opinions, what's everyone's opinion on the FTW belt?
The FTW, the current version, or the lineage of it all?
Well, both.
I thought it was a really smart booking thing. I think it fit the character really well in ECW. The idea that you had this non-recognized sort of title within the promotion that represented sort of anti-establishment, anti promotion, in effect. And I think it was smart booking. And I think it has the same attitude and the same energy it had in ECW and AEW? No. I think it was a nice nod to the belt when it first showed up, and the fact that Taz was affiliated, it was nice. I think I think they should just absorb the belt into their promotion officially and just make it a mid-card title, because it's not really serving its original purpose now, the way that they book it and the way that they use it. But I like the concept of it.
Mm-hmm.
I was a huge Taz mark when I was younger watching ECW. I'm not going to lie. So I loved anything that brought a sports feel to the wrestling, and he had a big fight feel when he did his matches, even though he was only 5 foot whatever.
Yeah.
He always made fights seem like he always made it feel he seemed dangerous.
Kata Hajime, dude, Taz Mission.
Yeah. So I liked his stuff. So, and I like the idea that the title fit the character. So
yeah,
I don't know what Tony thinks, but that's what I think. So
I don't have an opinion.
There you go.
Okay. I mean, I honestly, I love the lineage of it. I mean, Taz versus Sabu for that title. I mean, amazing. You know,
Max is dangerous. Yeah, I mean, he knows shoot. He knows some shoot stuff.
And honestly, Jason, I agree with you. They should just. Yeah.
Nick said Taz was his badass best. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
WWE didn't know how to use him. Honestly, in my opinion.
But Jason, I agree with you as far as the lineage, yes, but bring the FTW title into like a mid-card mainstay title for AEW.
It just seems like it's going to be the obvious course of it, and they're going to stop treating it as there's this other title from that. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're already not really quoting that anymore, so I think it's just a matter of time. So, Speaking of belts and wrestling from another time, Johnny, you want to tell us a little bit about an event you're excited about coming up very soon?
Yes, the Gathering 4. Also, Mr. Nick Carnivale will be joining me.
Hey,
Rusty Miller as well.
Nice.
August 3rd through the 6th, and with a who's who of legends.
Man, you look at that poster. This is packed with everybody. I mean, there's so many names on this poster.
I mean, we heard today that J.J. Dillon has come down with some health issues. He won't be able to make it. Hope he's going to be okay.
Nick's playing hooky.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't.
Sorry, Nick. I mean, and this is actually the ultimate super ticket guest. So.
Oh, right on.
Yeah.
Right on.
And there's wrestling matches, there's Q&As, there's barbecues, there's dinners honoring like a lot of the legends.
Right on.
I mean, there's karaoke and a whole lot of drinking.
Yeah, I mean, just on this poster alone, you're seeing Bob Roop, Terry Runnels, Kurt Angle, Larry Zbyszko, and it goes on and on. The Godfather, Barbarian, Jerry Briscoe, Steve Kern, the Rock and Roll Express, Ahmed Johnson, who very rarely does any of these things, Gangrel, Brian Blair. I mean, that's and there's also beer drink. Yeah, there's also beer drinking, and that should be a competition in the sport as well. Rumble at the Hilton, Rock and Roll Express against the Headbangers. Tommy Dreamer's going up against C.W. Anderson. There's an old school ECW matchup for you. 18-man over the top battle royal. That'll be something. Ladies, Savannah Evans against Samantha Starr. Jaron Fulton with Bobby Fulton against Brock Anderson with Arn Anderson. So there's a generational match. That'll be pretty cool. And then we have NWA Junior Heavyweight Champion Kerry Morton against Brian Pillman Jr., who may recently have just signed with WWE and NXT, according to the dirt sheets. Actually, Mike Jackson will also be wrestling. We've got a Q&A with Larry Zbyszko. We've got a Q&A with Manny Fernandez, Big Mama, Baby Doll, and the Barbarian. Q&A with Rock and Roll Express. And a Q&A with wrestlers from Championship Wrestling from Florida, which is pretty awesome. And then they've got some pretty amazing vendors and guest signings as well. Then, I mean, I'm not going to read all those names, but it's a who's who, that's for sure.
Yeah.
It's a who's who. It's everybody you'd want to have access to is pretty much going to be there. So
Tori Wilson?
Yeah.
Terry Reynolds. Definitely
Terry
worth
Reynolds.
the money. Definitely worth the money. If you're not going this year, definitely go next year. I mean, Marty D'Amato, Team Art Promotions, and his crew have to be the best going today as far as what they do, what work they put in for this event. I mean, Marty's the best. You know, it's my first. I've been basically waiting for this all year round, and the whole year I've been planning this whole year. And my friends Mark Maggard, Ben Walker, Andy Bolger, Richard Ward, they've been I've been driving them nuts because I've been talking about the gathering. They've been doing the update, and they've been jagging my chops about it. But honestly, I can't wait for this. If you guys aren't going, you guys are missing out. If you can make it next year, definitely go next year because it definitely beats WrestleCon. It beats any other promotion.
Oh,
there it is.
Nick says there's breaking news about the gathering.
What's the breaking news, Nick?
There's going to be about a 30-second delay, so he'll tell us.
Apparently, you and Gianni, you're going to be in the Battle Royal with Nick, Johnny. News to you, probably.
Sweet. Yeah.
Johnny, man, you got to get footage of that, Nick.
But we also
that'll be awesome.
Chris Stratton as well. Nick and Chris from Big Boys Belts will be there.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, and how could I forget Chris? I'm sorry, Chris. And we have something special that we've made up, which is going to be a customized title per se for the gathering. So definitely
look forward to seeing that when it when it breaks.
Yes.
Nor, welcome, my friend. Thanks for hanging out with us all the way from Malaysia. Nice to have you.
You can do it, Nick. Go ahead.
Nick wants to powerbomb Gianni, so
let me tell you something. Let me tell you something about Nick Carnevale. He's one of my best friends. I'm not just saying that. He's one of the most genuine people in this, not only in the hobby, but in this world. Nick's a great guy.
There you go.
Nick's all right.
From the mouth of Gianni to your ears.
Hey?
What's that? What was that, buddy?
Nick's all right. He didn't pick up my phone call when I called him.
Tony's putting you on blast.
He's more of a texting guy.
There you go.
He's more of a texting guy. So.
Nor says, hope everyone is doing well. We're doing well. And congratulations on your recent addition to your family, Nor. Congratulations.
Yes. Congratulations. I hope the baby's doing well, Nor.
We're moving on past that, actually, into the next section of our show. We're going into quiz time. So I'll just pull that up. All right, so we're doing things a little different tonight. I'm going to give you this blurred out image with their logo. I'm going to give you 3 hints and see if you can determine who you think this wrestler is.
Okay.
First hint. During my sophomore year of high school, I decided to pursue a pro wrestling career and attempted to train at Dean Malenko's wrestling school in Florida. By the time I graduated, Malenko's school had closed down, so following a friend's suggestion, I instead began training under Randy Gonzalez and Shawn Michaels at the Texas Wrestling Academy in San Antonio, Texas. Hint number 2. Hold it. Don't give your guess yet, because we're going to give people that are watching a chance to answer too. Hint number 2. I entered Ring of Honor near its beginning and even participated in the main event of Ring of Honor's debut. I later moved up from independent promotions like Combat Zone Wrestling and Ring of Honor and even Chikara, to the biggest organization in wrestling, the WWE, where I would go on to win the WWE Championship on 4 separate occasions. Regarded as one of the best technical wrestlers of my generation, my innovative moves and technical prowess have earned me a devoted fan base, and my perseverance and determination have seen me overcome severe injuries, proving my resilience and dedication to my craft. Who do you think this is? Let's just give everybody that's watching a chance to maybe throw an answer out if they want to. If anybody that's at home watching wants to throw an answer in the comments, we'd love to see what your guess is. Ben Walker's got it. Yes. Yep. Yes. Yes. Ben's on point again tonight. This is Nora saying, is it the American Dragon Bryan Danielson? Sorry if it's wrong. You are not wrong, Nora. You are on point. It is, in fact, the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson. You're absolutely correct. He trained with Shawn Michaels in the early days and later with Steven Regal, which is why that whole Blackpool Combat Club connection storyline.
Michaels had
there you go. Yeah. So we're on to, believe it or not, we are already on to our Friday Fantasy Intercontinental Title Tournament run-through. So we've been in our group, Champions Belt Club, which we'd love to have you join if you haven't yet already. We do a Friday Fantasy Tournament every Friday. This is our third tournament that we've been running in the group. This one is themed Top 12 Greatest Intercontinental Champions, according to the votes of the members of the group. They had originally added to the list Chris Jericho, Macho Man Randy Savage, Razor Ramon, Honky Tonk Man, Bret Hart, Kurt Hennig, Rick Rude, Eddie Guerrero, Gunther, Owen Hart, Shawn Michaels, and The Miz. All of these wrestlers have been eliminated now except for Razor Ramon and Bret the Hitman Hart. Razor Ramon came back from behind last week as our wild card in the tournament. He was eliminated in the first round of the tournament, but he was voted back into the tournament in the wild card spot, and he defeated Eddie Guerrero with 86% of the votes, and he is now in the finals against Bret Hart, which we will decide this Friday. So I don't need to ask Tony who he's got because I know who Tony's got. Who would you vote for, Gianni? That's a tough one.
Razor, all the way.
Razor. Your heart's with Razor. That's cool. It'll be interesting to see where the votes land this week. Razor's definitely been popular in this last half of the tournament. So
he was the better IC champion. In my
there
opinion.
You go. In your opinion, I don't know what you think, Tony.
They had some awesome matches.
They did. They had some great matches. And we're assuming in these tournaments that these gentlemen are at the peak of their careers. So this is the peak Bret Hart, peak Razor Ramon. So it'll be really interesting to see how that turns out. Following week, we're going to determine which tournament we run next. And we'll determine that by vote again. And we'll decide, so do we run a tournament featuring the greatest Ring of Honor world champions of all time? Do we do a tournament for the greatest women's wrestlers of all time, top 12? Do we do a tournament for the greatest X Division champions of all time? Do we do a tournament based on the greatest TNA Impact Wrestling champions of all time? We have a lot of categories that we can throw out there next week, and we'll make that decision. Everybody will help us with that vote, and that'll be the next tournament that we go through. So believe it or not, we're up to Collectible Corner. Tony, what do you want to do with this week? You got something to show us?
Oh, yeah.
All right, brother. What did you bring with you this week?
So I'm gonna. This is the LJN for the Macho Man Randy Savage, well-known figure, seen a lot. He is actually one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. So I'm going to show you a few of the different customs I've done where I've painted them. So I did a different. You can see the white wristbands,
nice.
The glasses, and I did a different look for the trunks. And I'll show you another one. I did a green. I was watching old videos, and Macho changed his outfit quite a lot. And I even did one here where I've got a beat up IC title on him. This is what he
Brasso.
looks. Yeah, when he had
nice.
that. And then we're not done. I got two more to show you. Who could forget one of his greatest runs as one half of the Mega Powers? Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
And then later, the run in the NWO.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, look at that. So all hand painted, no decals.
That's awesome. That's good. Tony, you have talent, brother.
That
Thanks,
was
buddy.
legitness. Yeah, it was. Huh?
That's awesome.
awesome.
Yeah.
Nice.
I did those. I love the Macho Man. I love I don't know. It's just fun. I'm gonna try, and if I find any more beaters, this one's in really great shape. If I find some more beaters of the Macho Man, I might do a couple other variants too.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Ben said, "How about the greatest 24/7 champs of all time for our next tournament?" Absolutely.
How about the greatest
Absolutely
ECW
not.
champions of all time? Greatest ECW champions of all time.
Greatest ECW? Yeah. Which one? TV or world champion?
World. Because honestly, the greatest TV champion has to be RVD. I mean, come on.
They're all fire, Scott said. I agree. Nice work, Tony. Tony does some amazing work with those LJNs, man. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's
Appreciate it.
awesome. Yeah.
What do you guys think? RVD, the greatest TV champion ECW has ever had? I think.
Definitely one of the greatest. You have to put Taz in the conversation. You have to remember Rhino carried that belt for a while too. I mean, there were a lot of really great TV champions too. So
He was the longest.
Yeah, for sure. For sure he was. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. He definitely did the most for the belt, I'd say, RVD.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
We should do WCW champion.
Would you like to do the top WCW champions of all time?
That would be awesome.
We'll add it in.
That one too.
We'll add it in. Absolutely. Yeah, man. I think we should.
David Arquette, the world.
We should do a poll of the worst champions of all time.
Yeah.
David Arquette would win. No, I should say that. David, he's a good guy.
We could do the top 12 worst gimmicks in history.
Yeah, totally.
Absolutely. Well, guys, we covered everything we were planning to cover tonight. Vince Russo versus David Arquette in a bracket. Absolutely. Oh, man. That would be beautiful.
Easy, stuff. Bro. Easy, bro.
Yeah, not a fan of Vince Russo.
No. Nobody seems to be. Poor Vince. Poor Vince Russo. I don't understand, bro. Man, so we covered everything tonight, man. I think we did everything we planned to do. Unless anybody in the chat wants to throw a question at us. If you have any questions for Gianni, we'd be happy to have him answer.
Throw them at me. Come on.
Good show, gentlemen. Thanks again for thank you, Ben. Thanks and ditto, my friend. Everything you bring to this hobby, we appreciate you, and we appreciate your mentorship and your guidance in the hobby for so many people. So thanks to Ben Walker. Thanks to everybody for watching tonight, hanging out, throwing out your questions and your comments. We love the feedback. We love talking to everybody. Love the interaction. That's why we do it. So we're happy to have you here and happy to hang out. Anything you want to throw out there before we call it a night, Gianni?
Honestly, yeah, a couple of things.
We just got a question. Hang on now. Scott said, what was y'all's hobby before belts and wrestling? Ooh, that's a good one.
Sports memorabilia.
That's a really good one. What do you want to take that one first, Gianni?
Sports memorabilia, like autographs and cards and jerseys and all that good stuff.
North City's glad he got to catch a few words from Gianni. Haha. There you go. What about you, Tony? What was your? I mean, I know you have a lot of hobbies, but what were a few of them before?
I play music. I play guitar and sing. Karaoke's a big one. I'm a big fan of karaoke. I was in a band too one time. Retro video games. I love old horror movies from the 70s and 80s.
Right on.
I collect jerseys. I don't care if they're autographed. I just collect jerseys, especially Yankees and just hockey.
Yep. Yankees. Nice. What a shitty ass team.
No, and I used to collect comic books. I got a big comic book collection too. I like stuff from the 70s, 80s.
I'm gonna hear that from Nick this weekend talking about his team.
Yeah.
Yankees are right. But what did Norris say about football? That comment.
Football. Oh, I used to play soccer.
Sorry. Norris said football, or as Americans say, soccer. GGMU. So he's talking about kickball, soccer.
I got to go with playing. I love soccer. I played soccer for 30 years.
You're a man of many collections and talents.
Oh, and I also play. I used to play hockey. Just recently stopped. I play softball still. I love softball. I play golf. I like darts. Cool.
Right on.
I'm a pretty fucking all-around dude.
I've won trophies in darts. Played pool. Soccer. Like I just gave up soccer a couple years ago. I played it for over 30 years. I mean, everything but football growing up, honestly. I mean, I even took dance lessons growing up in karate and everything else. So
that's awesome.
Right on.
Yeah.
I played football, wrestled in high school, did a lot of martial arts stuff too, boxing, did taekwondo and jiu-jitsu, and did some catch-can wrestling as well. Love submission stuff. Collected comic books in school. Was a big comic geek. And love movies. Movie memorabilia, stuff like that. Love that stuff too. Yeah.
Favorite movie, Jason? What's your favorite movie?
Sorry, what was that? You skipped on me there. What were you saying?
What's your favorite movie of all time?
Favorite movie? Oh, that's tough. Oh man, I have a lot. That's hard.
It is hard.
Pick three.
Give me a genre, and I probably can do it, but it's too broad.
All right, I'll give you my three, and you can go with it. Okay.
Okay.
Goodfellas, Bronx Tale, and A League of Their Own.
Yeah, those are all great movies. Gladiator.
Okay.
Love Gladiator. Love. Man, what else do I love? I love Gangs of New York. Love that movie.
Good movie, yeah.
Yeah. Braveheart. Love that movie.
Yeah, I love that movie too.
Yeah.
My three would be Almost Famous. I love Major League. I love that movie so much. That's my favorite sports movie, Major League. Like I just love it. Star Wars: A New Hope would be one. I think that that movie alone is just like phenomenal. I hate the new Star Wars, and but that A New Hope to me is like it's almost perfect cinematography.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have some very similar interests in the hobby besides belts and wrestling. I think a lot of people are into movies and comics, sports, just dudes being dudes.
Yeah. One last thing I want to show. That's cool, guys. This is a Mark Maggard creation.
Love the Fisher King. That's a not as well known a movie. Great Robin Williams movie. It's awesome movie.
This is a Mark Maggard creation. It's just a center plate, but his leather. He does phenomenal work. And what I'm going to do is on the back, I'm going to get Tully and Magnum to sign it. So.
Oh, right on.
Yeah.
Awesome. But well, I'm going to sign us off.
I appreciate you guys.
Yeah, thank you for being on tonight, man. Oh, it's our pleasure. We were glad to have you, and we're happy to hear all about the gathering and talk wrestling and talk belts and talk all kinds of other stuff. It was awesome. Thanks for being here. Thanks to everybody at home for hanging out with us and talking and chatting and taking part. And I hope you guys have a great week. Anything you want to leave anybody with, Tony?
Just be kind to one another. Don't text and drive. And just like you said earlier, you had some great words of wisdom. We can all live in this world with different views and opinions, and just be kind.
Yeah. Let's not confuse opinion with fact. Let's just make sure everybody's entitled to an opinion. That doesn't mean it's fact, and it doesn't mean everybody else has to agree on it. And if we can all agree on that, we'll all get along just great.
Yep.
There's room for everybody in the hobby, room for everybody in wrestling, room for everybody in all of this stuff. So I hope you guys have a great week. I hope you hug your loved ones and stay healthy, stay happy, be kind. It's just as easy to be kind as it is to be harsh. So choose kind. And as Ben Walker always says, leave it better than you found it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Peace.
Yeah. Take care.